welcome back to week 3 of Weebonomics. This week we are covering episodes 21 through 32, so we are officially halfway through the show. I am Scott Loudon, and this is
Stephen Vorvongting.
Let's see if that actually connects.
Hope that went through this time.
Third time's the charm if it goes through. Okay, so we kind of already lightly talked about this before, so we'll kind of rehash into it a little bit, but based on this episode chunk, what did you take away as kind of your favorites or your favorite moments, and what do you felt like it was maybe not even a con, but just like not your favorite part of it?
I think I had 2 favorite moments. One was, let's see, when Ed and I was fighting Scar, and then Winry pops up, and then she hears the whole story about her. Well, she finds out what happens with her parents, and she, emotions happen. She's ready to kill him, and Ed goes in between them and says, "What does he say?"
He's like, "These hands aren't for killing."
Well, that was after, but yes, that was my favorite scene. That was, these hands are not for killing; they were giving life. I say, oh, and then it goes into the outro. I was like, let it out. Damn, that got me good.
Yeah, so we had previously talked about this before Steven had technical difficulties, because we now discovered that Steven apparently has every technical difficulty on his son.
I don't know how.
So the editing, right? Because we can sparse that conversation into a much shorter chunk here. My background was in live action filming and TV shows. So for me, there are these magical moments that happen on set that you're like, oh, that was just unexpected and fire, and like that's now a moment I'm gonna use, right? Because there's things that actors can come up with that aren't told, or like moments that like on a camera just come through so much better than something you were hoping for, and then that becomes your new edited moment. Whereas in an animated show, you're not going to waste, my presumption, because I have not worked on an animated show, my presumption is you're not going to waste hundreds of hours drawing something or creating something and not know what it looks like, right? So the editing as a thought process in pre-production before it's done is probably much more extensive. There's storyboards just like there are for live action, but I'm assuming that they know how it's going to get cut together. They know how it's going to get edited. And so I think the editing appreciation is different than live action. But like, I love it because to me, I'm like, you had that connected as a thought piece already. And I imagine the moment you see it come together, like, especially for you, right? That moment really captured you to go from her having that moment into the outro song. And it was a new outro song, right? So really working for itself. And I'm curious when they created that outro song, what that experience was like. If they were like, we're timing it really to this moment, and then we're just going to keep that outro for, 10 episodes. I'm not sure what that process was like, but... So, yeah, I think the editing from an animated perspective is very different. It's like, man, when it hits, it's like, that has to be such a cool moment because they're like, they thought about this, right? They saw it in their head. They're like, now it's real.
Another good usage of that outro was when Edward found Al's body.
Yeah.
And he essentially, he's going to kill everything. He's like, I want to get you now. And then as he's running to him, he gets dragged back in, gets into the door, and just punches his way out.
Yeah.
I'm coming back for you. And then, let it out. I was like, oh, this is so good.
That was actually one of the coolest moments when the door closes and then Ed smashes it back open.
Yeah.
I just didn't see that coming, and I think that was so cool. I thought it was a really great moment to like see Ed's resilience in that moment, to be in like, I have to tell Al this, right? Like, I'm going to do it, and it's like, it's the truth portal. Like, I would never have expected him to be able to bust through that shit.
Just manhandle that door. I think, like, compared to the manga, that scene was like pretty 1-to-1. In that split second when he has his eye looking straight at him, the details were, I don't know, it was just so clean. It just reminded me of the manga. It was very well done.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to, I think, after the show to read the manga, and even tightly see really how close it is, because I as far as I've heard, it's pretty close.
Like 95%, something like that.
So I'm excited because, like, in Akame ga Kill, the entire end is different, right? Like,
Oh,
so it's really crazy to see because Akame ga Kill is a one season show.
okay.
It's only 25 episodes, and they really changed. Mostly the end is what changed the most, but there's a lot of change. So I'm really curious to kind of see
Okay.
how this lines up.
Yeah. Was there an episode you enjoyed or
I,
disliked?
yeah, so kind of like what we were talking about a little bit before this. I think the gluttony inside Gluttony's belly is probably my favorite, just because
That was
again,
cool.
it really you get to see Evie's. I didn't even talk about this before. You get to see Evie's true form, so that was crazy.
We saw Gluttony's true form, and we saw Enemy's true form.
Yeah, Gluttony's true form came out in the real world, though, I guess, right? Because he opens up his stomach and starts swallowing things, which I did not understand was him swallowing things until.
Gluttony.
I get that, but like it looks like a power beam just wiping shit out. Like it didn't. I wasn't in my head. I wasn't assuming like, oh, that's him taking things in.
Oh, I see.
Right, and then I remember with Mustang hitting him with fire, and he swallowed the fire. So like I get that, but like I didn't pick. I guess I didn't connect at first that the beam going out was really him sucking everything in.
Gotcha.
So
that's
like
kind of weird.
Yeah. It just looked like everything was going out instead of
instead of coming in.
So that threw me. But being in his body, having conversations with Evie, and finally learning kind of what Gluttony's power is outside of just eating things, right? Because it's that he has this fake portal that once you're in it, you're never leaving. So I thought that was what?
The fake failed portal.
Fake truth, right? Truth portal, they're trying to create another truth portal, and it's whatever like a the fake truth one. Is. Yeah. So I found that really fascinating, that whole chunk. And then obviously that's kind of also where Ed eventually learns to do the human transformation stuff, right?
Well, I feel like he already, like, him and Al already knew how to do it, right? They already lost their limbs and whatnot. But I think at this point in time, or in the story, Edward finally pieces out how to actually use human transportation. Yeah. And you're clearly not going to be able to bring someone back to life. But I think what I found really interesting, and it really shows, I guess Edward's brilliance, is that what he uses that method of human transportation to get out of that where the portal through the truth back into the real world.
Yeah, I mean that's what I took it as, right? Is that his body right now is stuck in the truth portal, and that makes sense. I feel like to how we're thinking about it, right? Because I think that connects. Like as soon as he does the human transformation again, probably with Al, he'll be able to reconnect his body. Is my assumption. I could be wrong, maybe.
But he did say, why didn't he go with him again? He was like, "Oh, you're not my soul. I can't go with you."
Yeah, he said until his soul was there, he couldn't leave. Like he needed his own soul in order to leave with him.
His body, I think.
Well, that's what the body told him, because his body is in the truth portal.
Yeah, right.
Right, and his body was like, I can't leave with you until I have my own soul.
I got it mixed up. Right.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, those were great moments. I will say my I should say least favorite moment, because it was just massively confusing to me at the moment, was the interlude episode where he's at like the campfire thing, having all these moments where Hohenheim is there. And then you see the other guy who looks just like Hohenheim, who we've now discovered is father. But Daddy not the Elric's father. So I have no idea what's happening there. Like, I'm so lost. I'm so confused, because I'm like, I'm like, okay, he has all these memories of people being like, hold on to hope. And then you got the other guy who looks just like him being like, humans are nothing. They're ants. They're resources, right? Yeah. And I'm just like, what is happening? And it's a recap episode. So
what threw me off was, what's her name? The grandma, Pachinko?
Yeah.
Panako.
Yeah, Pachinko's the game.
You saw her in there all young. I'm like, what the heck? Like,
was it her, or was it
the timeline here?
Was it her young, or was it the Rock Bell mom?
No, that was her young. I think the Rock Bell mom was a blonde.
God, I can't remember already. Damn, that's crazy. Because fine. I'm fine with it. Like, that makes sense. But like, I was just that whole episode. I was like, did I miss? Like, I was like, I'm pretty sure I was paying attention to stuff. but I was like, maybe I looked at my phone for 10 minutes and I missed some huge moment or something.
It does happen. I did it a few times.
Yeah, I mean, I went back in that episode to make sure, but I was like, I don't think I missed it. I think it's one of those, I call it the lost episode, is how I think of it. When you introduce me a bunch of crap that I don't know what it's going to be, to me, that's like the whole show of Lost, because you're just like throwing stuff out there and hoping that that mystery is interesting enough. And to me, I'm like, it is, but only because it's short, and that I hope that we'll get more information soon. So kind of like we were saying on the other stream before we redid this, being like, I do trust that these show makers or manga creator, right, mangaka, will answer those questions. Right? Yeah. I'm at the point now where things aren't getting answered quickly, but things are getting slowly filtered in, and so to me, it's not a lost situation because it's at least getting answered in certain chunks.
Yeah.
So,
like now, at least you know what the plot is, right?
Kind of. Because we talked about that too. I have no idea what the homunculus goal is.
The whole point of what the homunculus were doing, right? Why they're collecting sacrifices.
Right? I mean, we know what they're doing. I don't know if I know why they're doing it.
Yeah, there's no why yet.
Yeah.
Well,
like I have the what and the how.
I think there is the why, right? Episode, I believe 21, or no, which was that whole recap episode?
27.
27. I think that one kind of gives you a good overview of what all of the homunculi were doing.
Well, yeah, we know what they're doing. Like I said, we know the what and we know the how. I just don't know the why. I don't know why the homunculi are needing to control everything. I don't know what the goal that Father has is. Like, if I asked you right now, based on these episodes that we've seen so far, what their end goal is, like what, without a shadow of a doubt, what their true purpose is and they're trying to accomplish, could you answer it? Because I can't.
Yeah.
So, okay, so what is it?
I'm pretty sure without any spoilers, right? They're drawing a transmutation circle across the country to create a Philosopher's Stone.
But why? That's, to me, like, the end goal is not the Philosopher's Stone.
I didn't want to go into the why yet. Well,
because I don't think we have that yet. I think we have the, like, what they're trying to accomplish. We know what and the how, right? We know that they're trying to create Philosopher's Stones. We know they're sacrificing entire cities basically to do it, and we know that the how is using them as a resource to create the Philosopher's Stone. We have that information, but I don't think as a story mechanism yet we have the end goal of what that Philosopher's Stone means or what it's going to let them do. Right?
Gotcha.
That's what I don't have. Because, like, to me, I'm like, okay, you're willing to sacrifice a shit ton of people. Like, you better have a good-ass reason to do it. And I know that they think of them just straight up as resources, or at least that's what Father considers them, right? He doesn't consider them people. But I think I would be curious to see what his true goal is, and I don't know it yet.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. Yeah, it's not there yet.
Yeah. The other thing we were talking about was intros and outros. Still not my favorite. Like, the original intro is still my favorite by a lot.
I will say the animation is still. I mean, not the animation, but the what's that? Not the animation. The animation of the intro and the outro are still pretty great, though.
Yes, I guess I was focusing more on the song.
On the song, the stuff, yeah, not quite. Yeah. But, like, again, those 2 episodes, and then the end right into the outro, so good.
Yeah, I think it would be curious at the end. I wonder if we really look at just the intros and just the outros and try and weigh them there, because I think right now I'm so fixated on the music that I don't think I focus very much on the animation, and maybe I should more. So that's a good thing to think about, because I don't know if... I mean, I think it's cool, but I think I'm so drawn into just the music part of it that I should focus on something else too. Okay. Is there any other big, like, revelations or moments that spoke to you in these episodes?
That Mustang episode, pretty solid.
In which one? What do you mean?
Sorry. Well, I would say when Edward goes to see Hawkeye, and she tells him all about the Ishvalan War. At least from her perspective and Mustang's perspective, right?
Yeah.
You finally see Mustang's background, like how he became with the alchemist.
Yeah, and going into that conversation, so we were talking about this before the stream a little bit, and I kind of wanted to bring it up here because this feels like a good moment for it, is how they learn their alchemy, like strength, has not been discussed.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we all know what their powers are as they are. And we know that, like, I guess for an example, Armstrong did say that his alchemy thing is like a family lineage of skills that they've taught each other.
Did he say that? I know that's in the manga, but I felt like I missed. Did they say that?
There's a very small moment in the anime where he does say, this is a technique that's been handed down from like generation to generation in my family.
Mm-hmm.
And so I am curious, because it hasn't been spoken to, on one, how they learn, because it seems like they all just individually have masters and then they take a test and they're state alchemists, as far as I can tell. There's not like an actual like alchemy academy that they go through as state alchemists.
Right.
And I don't know if their power is just something that is inherent to who they are, or if it's like a specific thing that they learned. Because the reason I brought this up is because Mustang has that moment with his old master where clearly he's been taught by this guy.
Yeah.
Right? And then he's like, no one can see my research. And then we see it tattooed on
Hawkeye.
Riza's back, right?
Riza, yeah.
So I'm like, okay, is the thing that you taught him Mustang's ability, the fire stuff, or is it something else? Because I don't know that yet. I just know he's really scared for the military to learn what his research was.
I always felt like it was kind of like a field of science. Everyone just picks their own field and goes into it. Well, you make a good point about how Mustang kind of went towards the flame alchemy. And when you look at Edward and Al, like, what do they really do? They do a lot of like earthbending, right?
I feel like they do more what like what Armstrong does.
Yeah,
right? Where they build the walls, they build the fists of stone. They do a lot of that stuff. And then obviously I know that he can create stuff, because like even in these episodes, he's like, I can use the iron from the blood and create the sword for Ling Fang, or Ling Fang, right?
That's Ling Fang? Ling something.
Ling Fao. Yeah. Ling Yao. God, I was supposed to.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he can clearly do other stuff, but that's why I'm like, can he do fire? Can he do ice? Or is that like inherently based? We're halfway through the show, and I have no idea how they get their like school of alchemy figured out. Like, I don't know if they're restricted. Like, can Edward learn the fire stuff that Mustang does? Like, that's my question, I think.
I feel like every branch of nature, everything has its own set of rules and laws. And I feel like that's why these state alchemists kind of branch out to their own speciality.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just too much to learn everything, I feel like. I'm sure if Edward, if Mustang were to teach Edward his flame alchemy, he could do it also.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a good point.
Yeah, I'd just be curious, because as far as I can tell, there really isn't a lot of mixing. There really isn't a lot of people who can do multiple.
Yeah.
Right, with like Scar, I understand it, because it almost feels like Scar doesn't actually know it. It's just like he has his brother's arm, and that arm has the tattoos to deconstruct. So it doesn't even feel like he knows it. But the little girl seems like she knows a whole thing, right? Because she's got like the long range
for her side
alchemy or whatever, right? And she seems pretty sick at like what she does.
Yeah.
So I'm really curious to see how alchemy. So I guess that would be the other big reveal here, is that in some fashion, alchemy and alchemy are different, right? Because when all the alchemy was nullified or dulled or whatever we want to call it, the alchemy didn't seem to be, right?
Right.
So I think that's like the next big mystery, because clearly that seems where they're going to go, right? It seems like Edward's like, okay, I have to learn alchemy, because if I'm going to fight this guy, I can't use alchemy because I got completely nullified, so I have to use alchemy.
Why did they head north again? They're trying to find the girl. She headed north.
Yeah, because the girl
to learn
north.
That.
Yeah, so they're trying to find her so that they can learn alchemy, right?
That's right, yeah.
And find my waifu.
That's fine. You're waifu. I knew it. I looked at it. I was like, "This is Scott's waifu right here."
I don't know what it is about psychopaths, but as anime characters, I apparently love psychopaths. Like that's what I've just determined to figure out. Because like, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like Alita, as you can see in the back, like I love her. She's not really a psychopath, but like I think like the strong female characters who are very decisive in what they do, it really calls to me. Like Mirko, she is, I think, on the edge of being a psychopath from My Hero. She's like the rabbit with really strong legs.
Oh, dude, yeah, that's a good one too.
Yeah, like she's like, as they joke, the waifu, right? Where it's like WHEY, like protein whey. She's like my waifu.
Oh, yeah, I heard that one. Yeah.
So like I'm much more drawn to those characters than I am to like. I'm trying to think of like Winry is cool, but she's not a waifu to me, right? Like I'm not super drawn to her yet because she's too nice and caring, and it's really sad that that's where my mind is.
There's kind of no like like compared to Mako or Elizabeth Armstrong. I think that's her name. She does.
Oh, okay, wait. Are you talking about? You're not talking about Elizabeth Deadly Sins. You're talking about Elizabeth from this show.
No, from this show. Yeah.
Which one's Elizabeth?
Your waifu, the one that just came out.
Oh, her name's Elizabeth. Okay.
I think her name was Elizabeth.
I think her last name's Briggs. I think that's right.
Her last name is Armstrong. She's an Armstrong.
Oh, maybe it's like Briggs Ford or something. Yeah, I knew. Oh, you're right. She's an Armstrong.
Briggs Ford.
I haven't met her yet. Okay, I've seen the image. I'm like,
yeah, like those characters hold significance, right? They're confident. They handle their own shit. Where Winry is kind of like side character.
Yeah.
Where's the strength there? Yeah.
But like, Esdeath is like one of my top waifus from Akame ga Kill, and she is straight up admits she's a sociopath.
That's your tat, right, on your leg?
Yeah.
Okay.
She is. I mean, she's straight up about just destroying people.
You know who she reminds me of? It's another. I'm gonna have to pull up this anime. It was very psychotic. It's. I want to pull it up. Well, let's get on.
Yeah. Yeah. So. I'm trying to think. Man, I got so distracted by waifus. That's terrible. My brain just like done.
What was that show? Go ahead.
Yeah, we'll just for this chunk, right? Because we kind of talked about pros and cons. We'll just go through each episode in a small snippet. We don't need to overkill it. So that first episode 21, Advance the Fool, Ed and Al devise. This is the snippet that Google is giving me, right? That Ed and Al devise a risky strategy to lure the creatures out of hiding in an effort to learn more about the homunculi.
Yeah.
We kind of discussed it a little bit earlier, where their plan to get Scar to attack them and then have the homunculi come out because they need them, so they won't let them die. So they're like, yeah, they'll definitely save us before Scar kills us. I'm like, okay,
he could have killed you in like 2 minutes earlier.
Yeah, that's a weird plan. I mean, I get it, but I'm like, couldn't you just have like faked something with the military? Like, I feel like there were safer ways to have done this strategy. But it does work, I guess, and they get Gluttony out, right? So is that that in that same episode, must be where they tie him up with the steel cable.
Yeah, I think that's where they actually catch him.
Yeah.
I think that's the
it can't be. It can't be.
Was that one?
There's no way, because I feel like episode 22 is where Winry tries to shoot Scar.
Oh, they're still on it, huh?
Yeah, so it was later on.
I think this might be the start of that. Of the luring.
Okay. Yeah, because I don't think it's episode 24, where Gluttony's powers overwhelm the Elric's. Mustang finds himself in the belly of the beast, right? And then episode 25 is when they're in the belly. So it's got to be 23, 24, where they actually like capture Gluttony.
Yeah.
Also, why didn't Gluttony use that power before? Like, he gets captured in the cable, and it's not until way later he's like, you know what? I'll just grow enough to break through this cable.
He was upset with Mustang, right? Because Mustang killed Lust, and he's had some sort of I don't know, hard on for Lust.
Yeah, so you just think it wasn't until he was in Mustang's presence that he got angry enough?
That was the trigger for sure.
Weird. I mean, I would think like, oh, I can't move and I'm captured would be enough of a trigger, but
but it really shows how I guess
how angry he was with it.
No, I want to say how angry, how he was a little loose in the head, right?
I mean, yeah, he walked Ed back to father.
Right. He wasn't the smartest homunculi, or isn't the smartest homunculi.
Yeah. Okay, so that's episode 21. 22, Backs in the Distance. Scar's mission to destroy those who slaughter people.
Episode.
Fueled by rage upon learning that a role that Scar played in her parents' death, Winry has murderous feelings of her own. Yeah, so this is the moment where she's got the gun ready to shoot Scar, and Ed is talking her down, right? So you said you really loved this. You loved that the choice was that she didn't shoot.
Oh.
Or that Ed stopped her from shooting.
No, it was more so his little speech as the reason why he stopped her from shooting.
Yeah.
That was really cute. Very it really showed that he was watching Winry in a way that he shouldn't become a killer. And even the Elric brothers themselves, I feel like they're very they don't want to kill people either.
Yeah.
So I feel right around there.
Yeah, and it'll go into the Ishwal episode later, but I feel like we also saw that from Armstrong's character. Right? He was the one who was in the war and he got sent back because he's like, this is terrible. And I was like, I have really liked Armstrong throughout this entire series, but I loved that moment where like he was the only one who was like, yeah, I'm not doing this. Like, this is fucking stupid. We can't treat people this way, right? Where even Mustang and Hawkeye and all these people who have really high moral standards, they were totally still doing it. They were still killing people, right? And Armstrong was the one who was like, no.
And like that's why they call them dogs, right? For the military they serve in. But it's like they could have said no, and they could have quit, right?
Yeah, but I think the true belief is that he has to change the system from the inside. So he's like, if I leave, Mustang I can't do what I want to do, right?
Yeah. So he had a goal to do that. But like the other alchemists, did they really have the same kind of, I guess, goal in mind also?
I mean, I think you also saw that conversation with Hughes, right? And he's like, Mustang straight up asks, like, what's your goal? And Hughes is like, to not die, right? So
was that because of the situation they were in and the fight they were in, or why he came into the military? I think Mustang came in because he wanted to change, though.
For sure, but I think Mustang has a higher moral reason for why he's willing to keep doing the stuff there and like go through the process, because he knows if he gets kicked out, he can't change the things from within, right? Whereas for Hughes, it's straight up just to not die. So I'm like, Hughes could have quit, right? Because if his only goal is to not die, he could have quit. He could have been like, yeah, I'm done. Like I don't want to do this. Whereas I feel like for Mustang, he's like, this is horrible. And this sucks, but if I don't do this, if I get kicked out, I can't make the change I want to make, right? So that's like a tougher thing to balance and figure out. Whereas Hughes, I feel like, while I really like Hughes, and he ends up, I think, being kind of the same as Mustang, where he's trying to help him later on, I feel like he had less of a reason to stay fighting and killing people.
For sure.
So, but going back to that moment, I think I'm also happy she didn't shoot, because I think I'm so, I hate to say this, but I'm so tired of kind of the PTSD storyline of a character where the rest of the show is them having horrible drawbacks to just something terrible that they did. And I didn't feel like we needed that from her character.
Oh, okay.
Like, I like Winry. I like that she is still strong and determined in who she is, and that a lot of her is about caring for people instead of having to see the next 30 episodes of her being like feeling really guilty and having traumatic drawbacks and like having to figure out how to get through this. I was really glad that storyline didn't have to happen for her character, because I just was like, I feel like the show has a lot of that already. We have a lot of these characters who have gone through a ton of trauma. We don't need every single character to have it.
Right.
And
personally,
Yeah.
I would have put the trigger.
You would have just shot Scar?
If I was in her shoes, I would have pulled the trigger.
But I feel like we still, like, yeah, I mean, I understand that. But as an emotional moment, like, I think you could do that. But I think she also has Ed right there who she trusts.
Uh-huh.
And Ed's not ready to do that. And I think if Ed had been ready to do that, maybe.
I feel like that was part of it too. Like he kind of forced his values onto her in a way. So I'm like, oh, what if he were to have left her and just let her make her own decision? I felt like she would have done it.
I think he even says that. He's like, I think she would have shot him. He literally says that.
Okay.
If he wasn't there, he thinks she would have done it, right? So, but I think in his mind, he protected her from going through maybe that trauma or that PTSD.
Sure.
Because I think he knows, like, maybe she would still feel like it was the right choice. But I think even if you know it's the right choice, you still feel the weight of killing someone, right? Especially if that's not something. Whereas Riza's like, I've done it so much that I can't go back.
Yeah.
Right. So I think you get to see that different balance of characters and how they feel about certain things. Okay, so episode 23, Girl in the Battlefield, the cooperation between Mustang's cabal and Ling Yao's band leads to the capture of the homunculus, right? So that's the episode where they finally capture in Steel Cable Gluttony. I can't remember if this is the actual introduction of the character, and man, this sucks. I cannot remember her name. Let me see if I can pull it up here.
Ooh, oh, the bodyguard?
No, the little girl.
Oh, does she come in? She comes in here.
Let's see. Ads. Let's see here. Winner's parents and Nina. I think her name is Nina.
Oh.
Oh no! It just says mysterious. Oh, let me see here. Mei Chang. That's her name. Mei Chang. So yeah, I thought I really liked Mei Chang. I love her little pet panda. I think he's amazing and so cute. It's so silly to me when I see these things. I'm like, oh, damn it, they got me. Like, it's a cute little panda, and I love it. It's like, I feel so easy to appease, but it was such a fun character. But seeing her style of combat, I thought was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
What are your takes on her?
Her precision and her speed is insane, right? Mm-hmm. So when she comes in and saves Scar's ass, she throws her freaking 5 kunais perfectly in a circle, and then she draws a circle with her feet instantly with the star, and like wow, okay.
I think.
But like we talked about earlier, that her alchemy is very interesting, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like I'm curious, like, so I guess I'm trying to remember. Does her alchemy just create like explosions?
Do you know what? I don't think it has gotten into that yet.
Yeah, I just remember like the side of like a tank or something. It has her little star on it. It explodes out, right? So I'm like, I'm curious. Well, I guess we'll have to find out and see if she does more. But
what she did there.
Yeah, but yeah, so she is super interesting. We're definitely interested to see where she goes. Then episode 24, Inside the Belly, Gluttony's power overwhelms Elric's. Mustang finds himself in the belly of the beast. I hate that it has that as the plot synopsis because Mustang doesn't go in his belly.
Yeah, it doesn't. Oh, but then like specifying there's another beast.
Yeah, it's just like it's like one of those things where some writer was like, well, Gluttony has a belly, so I'm going to write there in the belly of the beast. It's like, okay. It was cool to see him swallow the fire. I mean, that was definitely an interesting moment because I was like, part of me was like, I wonder if he could do so much though that he couldn't swallow it, but we never got to that moment. So,
okay.
Yeah. So to me, that 24 and 25 or 25 is the Dory of Darkness, where they fight Envy in her true form.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really cool to finally see Envy's true form. So still don't know if it's male or female or if that matters at all because it's just at this point a collection of souls on a monster. So difficulty, technical things.
Sorry about that.
Steven again. He's not an engineer or anything.
I'm good with tech. I have so much tech, but when I use my tech, it just. I don't even know. I don't even know.
Maybe by the end of this series, he'll have fully figured out how to use 3 devices
That's true.
at once.
I should, yeah.
So we just finished off talking about the episode 28, Father. Them talking about creating the new homunculus, so it was the new greed, and then we were talking about how Pride, we only saw having a conversation with Wrath, but we didn't see a physical form, unless it was the butterfly and the lantern. I don't know, because it kept panning to that, right? Okay, but I didn't know if that's what it was, because we haven't seen Pride, we haven't seen Sloth. I think I saw something in the intro that looked like I felt like I could see who Sloth was going to be.
I know one episode they did like a shadow thing of Sloth.
Okay.
That was it.
Yeah, and then the question we were just talking about was, why hasn't lust been recreated?
Oh, right.
Right, because if gluttony has been recreated, why hasn't lust been? Or has lust been recreated and we just don't know?
I feel like gluttony was able to be recreated because he didn't die, right? The Father reabsorbed him. Where I think lust, Mustang just absolutely drained all of whatever power that was in the Philosopher's Stone. She was just gone.
I guess that could track, because greed, they killed greed, so maybe they took back.
Well, it did show when greed died, right? There was like they dumped him into lava,
yeah,
and then through some mechanism, the stone came out, and Father just retook it back.
Yeah.
So I think that's
maybe they need to do more sacrifices in order to get lust again.
Who knows if you get the same lust?
I don't know.
Probably different lust. I don't
know. Okay, so episode 29, Struggle of the Fool, Elrics are Bradley's mercy, and if they make a wrong move, those dearest to them will pay. So this is the one where he basically is like, don't mess with me or I'll kill Winry.
Yeah, the situation is absolutely fucked, right? Mustang, he's got Mustang by the balls, he's got Ed by the balls, but the fear just doesn't care about Ed. Like, Al just says, oh, can we please continue our journey? And he just, go ahead.
So yeah, to me, I'm like, that's such a power play. I feel like, he's like, look, I know I have you, because I'll kill those around you if you do anything, right? And yeah, it definitely feels like, okay, like he clearly still feels like he has control of this whole situation, even though they've admitted like that these guys are annoying them, and that they're doing things. Like, to me, Bradley's like, it doesn't matter, like they can do all this stuff, but I know that their weakness is the ones that they care about, right? So it definitely feels that way. And then it immediately goes into the Ishval War episode, which we kind of try to see more of Hawkeye's goals, Mustang's goals. We really see kind of their feelings about what their true intentions are, because we know that Mustang wants to be Fuhrer, but we didn't 100% understand why. And now I think we kind of glean. It's very ideological, right? Very like, I feel like I can. Anyway, I think I said this in the first stream we had. Like, he feels like he can do a better job caring about people.
Okay, yeah.
Right, and so his we get to see that he only feels that he can do that from the inside, and that's why it's very important that he does it this way.
I kind of don't understand Hawkeye's reason to join the military. Did you get some sort of
Well, I think she also expressed an interest to want to see change, and I feel like she felt because like at her, I think it's her father's gravesite, she's with Hawkeye, or not with Hawkeye, she's with Mustang, and they're talking about it, and she's like, I really love that you care, and because she's like, I care, but I just don't. I feel like she's also scared about her father's research going to someone bad, right? So I think she also in that moment isn't trusting Mustang with her father's research.
She's like, can I trust you with it? Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's one piece, her recognizing that if there's one person she trusts, it's Mustang, and that if she's going to trust him, like that her goals are aligned with him, and that she's willing to do the things that he believes in because she also feels similar. I don't think she probably has as strong of feelings about the situation as he does, but I think she sees that resolve in him and is like, okay, if I'm going to stand up for someone, it's you.
Yeah.
And he straight up says to her, he's like, okay, but if you're going to do this, like, you're going to do this. Like, you're going to need to be ready to shoot me if I become someone different than what I'm telling you.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I don't think he gives her the chance to be half in, half out. He's like, if you're going to follow me, if you're going to go through this plan, you have to be 100%. Right. So I think that kind of is supposed to be the filling in her resolve moment where she wants to see the same change, and maybe she's not on the same path of like how he feels, but she knows she wants to be on that path. And so for her to do it, she has to be that way.
I think Hawkeye is my waifu.
Yeah. I mean, I can see it. There's definitely moments where I'm like, yeah, she's awesome.
Yeah.
Like in the shower scene where you like see her tattooed in the back. I'm like,
okay.
Ooh, all right.
Whoa. I didn't bring that
up. Come on. It's a waifu, man. I mean, it is what it is.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, no, I agree. I actually really like her character. I think she does seem a little bit one-toned, or like monotoned, right? Like she seems to be one way, but we see her empathy, we see her care, even though she's gone through some stuff. But yeah, I find her a really interesting character. And then the other part of that episode, which I don't know if we were talking about this before we started streaming or if it was in the beginning, was that we see Armstrong be like really the only state alchemist who resists killing people during the war.
Uh-huh.
And to me, I thought that was huge because it seemed like they did have a chance to, one, not get kicked out from not obeying, because he's clearly still a state alchemist.
Yeah.
But that they weren't like killed or anything like crazy punishable by refusing to do the work. Like they were clearly mad at him and they're like, get out of here, but he didn't suffer any, like, as far as I can tell, maybe he suffered a little bit, but he didn't suffer any massive major consequence to his decision to say, hey, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to kill all these innocent people.
It was very true to his character, and it was a very powerful scene where they're in the car and I think Mustang, what does Mustang tell Armstrong in the car? Because that's when he says, I wish I did more, I regret not doing more. And I thought that scene was very, very strong. And it really showed what side he's on, right? Because he's not. Because a little bit earlier, it was a little mysterious, where he couldn't tell Mustang certain things. Like, oh, who's making you keep secrets?
It's an interesting situation through a lot where I feel like Armstrong is feeling the need to be the safekeeper of secrets for multiple people.
Yeah.
Right, because there's been times even with the Elrics but I think that was probably more for like a sympathy, right, where he doesn't tell him about Hughes' death. But I think Armstrong does seem to be in the role a lot of being the kind of person who has information and like has to figure out who he can tell, which is interesting because I don't know, like he's not part of like the political intrigue.
Brass. Oh,
well, it's like he's clearly not part of the game.
Yeah.
He's just like there and just apparently finds out and he's like, oh crap, now who do I tell?
Yeah.
And then after that is the 520 cents promise, where they split up Mustang group, right? Where now Riza is the Fuhrer's personal assistant and all of his people are split to different sections. And then they also release he's the Crimson what?
The Crimson Alchemist.
Is it just Crimson Alchemist?
Kimley.
Okay. Yeah. So we start to see that, right? Where he's got a Philosopher's Stone.
Right. Which he has 2 now, right?
Yeah.
So from what you've seen so far about Kimley, I want to know on your perspective of this individual.
I mean, he just kind of seems like he kind of did feel psychopathic before the Philosopher's Stone, right? Not extremely, but he was very okay, seemingly, with the war.
I wonder if it's because he just wanted to kill people, or he just wanted to make explosions that happen to kill people. Well,
I don't know. I didn't get like that part of it, like where he's just so fascinated with explosions or anything like that. I just got that he was like, hey, this is what we're told to do. If you don't want to do it, leave,
Oh,
right?
right,
Because
right.
he just seemed very like, I'm good with this. And then once he has the stone, that's when I felt like I saw his angling towards psychopathic tendencies become psychopathic, where he's like, now I just enjoy killing, right?
Yeah. Well,
And
again, did he enjoy killing, or did he just enjoy making explosions that happen to kill people?
I don't know, because I haven't seen him make
Mm,
explosions that don't kill people.
that's
So,
true. That's
I
true.
don't know if he's
Oh,
just
you're
obsessed with
right. That's kind
explosions.
of okay.
So to me, he clearly cares the most about hiding his ability or hiding his stone, right? Because after he goes through and kills all the people in Ishval, he then is with the counselors or whatever, and they know that he has the stone, and then he kills all them. And I'm assuming that's kind of why he ends up getting put in jail.
Yeah,
because they figure out that he killed them. But clearly he's been hiding or holding onto the stone the entire time. So I don't know what his true motives are at this point, but he clearly seems okay with the homunculi. He must know them because Envy is like chum with him, right? Like they're in the car and they clearly know each other already. So I'm excited to see kind of more what that history is and where that started.
That part kind of throws off my whole theory persona about him and Envy knowing each other. Because that also means he's part of the game, right? Because he knows Envy. Or at least whatever Envy's telling him. But
I mean, I had to assume that he got the original Philosopher's Stone from them.
Well, I would assume through the brass. Well, who knows, like, how intertwined the brass and the homunculi are. But when we see Envy walking through Central, she takes a disguise. Well, I guess that's for everyone's sake. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, she does to get him released and in the car. I mean, she looks like a normal soldier until they're in their own moment, right? So
it's amazing to me that it took this guy who's been jailed since the war. Did they say how many years it's been since? To about now.
I'm sure they did at some point. I don't know off the top of my head.
But it took this one guy who's been jailed this whole time to track Scar. Like you didn't have anybody else who was capable of tracking this mass murderer, for one.
But I think until the moment where they saw the Alka history not be nullified, I think they didn't care. I think they were like, whatever, we'll deal with Scar when we need to.
There's that vibe. Like, yeah, you're right.
But as soon as they were like, oh shit, like you shouldn't be able to do that. And all of a sudden he almost, he's attacking, at father and stuff like that. Like I think that's when they're like, okay, like it's no longer playtime. Like this dude needs to go.
Yeah.
Right. Because even if he's not the danger, if he can teach what he knows to Ed, I think that's maybe more what they fear than anything. Like, because if Ed and Alphonse learn Alka history, they're in deep shit.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Because then they're like, we can't stop them from using their power.
Yeah. I felt like,
so that's my assumption.
I felt like Kimley, I felt like he was just a guy following orders and not psychopathic, right? He's just, there's this mass murderer and then I need to go kill them because my boss told me. Like, I see the psychotic part aside of him, but it doesn't seem like he's very psychotic. Maybe
he's too.
He's
but
got
like
tendencies.
But I think he is psychotic because he clearly is totally okay with it.
Yeah.
Right. Like he doesn't struggle with it at all. He's not like, man, like this has to happen for our country's safety, and it's really sad. But like I'm doing what I feel like I have to. He's like, I'll go do it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like he has volunteered himself to be that person, and he's angry at people who have any hesitation towards it. He's like, why are you being a wimp? Like you're told to go kill these people. That's what we have to do.
Yeah.
Right. Like he's too okay with it for me to not put his mindset into some kind of psychopathy.
Yeah. Fair.
Yeah. And like, I think, I mean, there's literally an animated frame where he's like, it shows him up close and his eyes are like, like devil shaped.
Was that on the train?
I can't remember the exact moment, but I know for a fact, like when you animate someone to look like that, like you're emphasizing the crazy, all right. So then the last episode, weird.
Oh,
I guess we have two more because it's weird. Like the way it's listed is two of them are listed 32 and 32.
Oh.
So we have the Fuhrer's son, and I feel like this is the last episode.
No, we got one more.
Yes. Dante of the Deep Forest.
The Northern Wall.
Zumi. What is it?
The Northern Wall breaks.
No, Northern Wall is where I stopped.
Yeah, that's the last episode we watched, right?
No, I didn't watch the Northern Wall because that's episode 33. So I have not met the Armstrong sister yet.
Oh, I thought
that's what I'm saying. No, that's what I'm saying. I know it's going to happen because we already know she's going to be my waifu. We know this, but I didn't get that.
Wait, so you didn't see a picture of her at all?
I've seen the picture of her because one, I think she's in the intro. And two, on like the next episode, it shows her like sitting like this. So like I know she's coming up in the next episode. But where I ended was where Scar and it's the doctor, right? That he like took his face off.
Yeah.
It's the doctor and them running through the woods after they jumped off the train. That's where I ended.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. I thought there were 66 episodes. That's why I went to 33.
Wow.
The 64. Yeah.
Bro.
Shame on me.
I literally said 32, bro. I said 32.
And you know what? I read 33.
Oh, we can trust you with nothing, Steven.
I know. I'm such a fuck up.
We'll let it go because we won't discuss it, but that's where we got to. So, yeah. So the episode about the Fuhrer's adopted son. And that's all within the same episode, right? Where you see Scar and them escaping the train, and then you see Ed and Alphonse have the conversation with Salim. What did you think the goal of that was? Because I have a feeling on it, but it's not very strong. So I'm curious what your take is on
it. You mean when they're having tea with the mom?
Yes, yeah. When it's like Salim, the mom, and Ed and Al sitting together.
I think,
and then obviously the Fuhrer shows up. But
I think that was just because Salem was a big fan of the Elric brothers.
But what do you think the purpose of that whole scene was from a story creator? Like, what do you think they were trying to convey to the watcher from that scene?
Probably the innocence of the family and on how they're very unaware of who King Bradley was or is, right? Because you know who he is, and the family clearly either doesn't know or they're playing along. Well, I don't see any of that. I just see that one big happy family.
Yeah, I definitely see the innocent side of things. I'm not convinced that they know if they do. My feeling from that scene was that you know how Bradley has scared them that he'll kill their loved ones.
Yeah.
I felt this scene conveyed the entire opposite thing towards Bradley, where he is like, you can know my family and I don't care.
That was a huge part
because he walks right out the door and is like,
do whatever you want.
Yeah, because one, I think he knows that they won't be as terrible as he is. Right? I don't think he genuinely feels like they're capable of killing his family. Right. But two, I think he just is, it's like he is so confident that he has them under control that he can walk out the door while he's sitting next to his supposed family.
Supposedly his weakness.
Yes.
Would be weakness, right?
So like I really took even more strength for Bradley from that scene than anything else. But also that Bradley like clearly can't be honest with them and who he is or what his plans are or anything like that. But it just doesn't seem like he cares. It seems like he can create the persona of caring because it seems like in moments he does. But at the end of the day, I think he's like, whatever.
Yeah. I just find Ed kind of very weird because, well, not weird in general, but in terms of his military status, extremely disrespectful, right? If the table was clear, no one and everything was just regular, you have the president walking through the door, and you don't get up and salute, because you know everyone he goes through. I mean, everyone who sees the fear, like, oh, it's the fear. Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Right. And
yeah.
Ed just doesn't do anything.
But do you think that's because he knows who he is now?
Well, he did. I don't think he did that in the beginning either.
Yeah, I don't
It
remember.
just kind of goes down to Edward is in the military, but he doesn't follow the military protocols.
No, he definitely doesn't. I mean, he definitely he barely feels like he's in the military. I feel like,
Right, but
I mean,
he
they even
is
say at one
though.
point, he's
That's
like,
the
the
thing.
only reason I joined was because it'll help me find my brother's body
Right.
faster. Like he doesn't have a personal mission in that. Clearly, he's having to do those things, like with Colonel Mustang. But yeah, he's not military mindset in any way, shape, or form. It seems like so.
Yeah, I just thought that was a little interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was just for me. I looked at that scene. I just was like, okay, this is just reasserting how much I feel like the Fuhrer is not part of their society, and that he doesn't need people, and he will play the part he needs to play in order to do what he needs to do. You know, and I think it just reaffirmed that for me. But I wasn't sure I took anything else into. Yeah, I think seeing his family be innocent was probably there as well, right? To see that they're not in the know about those things. And then obviously leaving that episode, I see they're going to North, and I'm like, yes, waifu. So like, I'm super excited. For me, we kind of talked about this, I think, on our failed stream, was that this chunk, while a lot of action happened, really feels like a huge setup scene. For me, at least personally, like that's how I took it. It's like they're really setting up the blocks for a lot to get unraveled in this hopeful next section, right? So, because we're halfway through at this point, I feel like the majority of things that are questions should now be out there. And so hopefully in the second half, it's really about answering everything. Maybe it'll take another 10 episodes. And so then the final 20 will be that block. But that's kind of what my hope is, right? And that's my feeling. So if I look at this section as an overall of what's my favorite between the first 10, the second 10, or this 12, I think, oh man, I'm trying to think which was like my favorite chunk.
I'll go first. It's definitely this 12 for me.
It's this 12 for you?
Yeah,
why?
It just gets better and better. I mean, you're looking at Ed and Al, they're just getting more, they're maturing, right? You can see they're getting bigger, they're getting smarter. Definitely Edward's understanding of human transmutation. I thought that was extremely cool. The emotional development. I guess Winry found. I mean, that's not big of a deal. That's tough. That was just. I feel like a lot of the story just came out in this last 12.
For sure. I think that's why I'm in my head as I'm reviewing it. I do think I like the second 10 more than this 12.
Oh yeah.
Because this is more story, which I do. I mean, obviously, I love story. Like that's my driving factor. But the second 10, I felt like had like the fight scene of Lust to me is still better than any other scene that I've seen action wise in this series.
Yeah. There weren't too many good fighting scenes in this one, was there?
No, that's what I'm saying. There's so much setup. I mean, there are fight scenes, right? Gluttony is fighting them.
Yeah.
Envy is fighting them. They have fight scenes. It's just.
But that Lust and Mustang scene was solid.
Yeah, I mean, it was
tension.
so much happening in that moment, and, and that was the first time you saw homunculi or homunculus be able to be killed, right, outside of greed going down the lava. So I was like, yeah, that scene to me still stands out. I think more.
Was it because of the tension? Like you were kind of worried, like, oh, who's gonna die?
I didn't think she could die. So when he finally achieved it, I was like, what?
Yeah.
You know, and like we talked about it too, like the animation of him just repeatedly lighting her on fire and her just like raging out in pain, right? Like that was a crazy moment. And I just don't know if any of the moments of this section felt. This was a lot of like reveals, right? Like like getting to father, realizing that Hohenheim and father are different people, still not understanding how they're related, but knowing that they're different people. The Ishvalan War and understanding how that actually was orchestrated by the homunculi. That was also a huge reveal, right? Like they basically planted that seed that they wanted that war to happen. So there's so many like plot and political intrigue pieces in this section. That's why I'm saying it really felt, while it had action, it had the setup device where we're going to start seeing all of these other things unravel. So it was really good. I don't say it's like it's still better than the first 10 to me. Like I'd say the second 10, then this chunk, and then the first 10, right? That's kind of where my feelings are with it for sure. Did you have any other thoughts or critiques that you want to talk about from this section?
No. I just can't wait for you to get to the next episode or next chunk.
I know. I'm very excited. So for this next chunk, we'll go back to the 10 at a time.
Yeah.
So we'll do episodes 33 through 42.
42?
Right? I think that's 10 episodes.
33 to...
Should be 33 to
43.
42. Well, yeah, so we won't watch 43, but we'll get up to 43.
Oh, okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42.
I just wanted to watch one more episode. It's starting to like really pull me in. Like I just don't want to stop watching, right? Mm-hmm. It's just getting really good.
Yeah. Okay. And then the other thing we want to discuss here. So I'm starting to do what like on Instagram will basically be like a Weebonomics like workout series where the eventual goal, and we're going to see how this goes, is to cosplay different characters at the gym. And so we need to kind of figure out what character, because I had to get the outfits, right? What character we want to do is kind of the first one. I think Doflamingo would be hilarious, but like he's not someone I feel like I want to do right off the bat. Like I want to work up to doing the Doflamingo outfit. But the other part of that is if anybody wants to follow along, I have my Fitness Pal. So I'm going to be tracking everything I eat and the progress I'm making. And if anybody wants to follow that, London Rains, so LONDONRAINES is my username on that. You can add me as a friend and you can follow along. As long as we're friends, my thing is public, so you can be able to see what I track every day. And then I will start recording just workouts to some extent in general. I can't record at every gym I go to because some are resistant to filming, which is totally understandable. But we'll start throwing that in there. But if you had a character that you think would be entertaining to see as a first one, what would you choose?
Oh, entertaining also like laugh at or just...
It could be both. It could be anything because I'm not at the place where any of it's going to be truly a show off, right? So it's more for an entertainment factor.
I can see you doing like a Broly.
Broly, yeah. I can see. I think Goku or like Vegeta would be easy ones to do.
Those are easy ones, yeah. I think the Dragon Ball Z cast would be pretty easy.
Yeah, I just don't want to like do a disservice to the Dragon Ball Z cast, because like that's part of like I'm like, to start with DBZ and to not be in shape yet is like I literally thought of it in my head. I'm like, maybe I should do Boo. Maybe Boo would be like the first one. Boo doesn't wear anything. He doesn't wear anything on top, so I'm like, I'm not going to do that. But maybe I could get like a Boo like tank top or something and wear his pants or something.
Skinny Boo.
Yeah, maybe something like that. I don't know. Like I want to dedicate myself to it. Like I don't want to like I'm not going to half-ass it. So like I think that's the other thing is I'm trying to figure out. Like, I know Saitama is someone that people recommend a lot. My buddy Ryan was like, you should do Frankie, and I'm like, Frankie literally wears a Speedo and a Hawaiian shirt. Like I don't know if I'm going there, but right off the bat. Man. But yeah, so if anyone has recommendations, feel free to throw it in there. I know I did a couple Halloweens ago. I did Tengen, and I could try to do his, but I'd have to remake the arm bangles, which it took a lot of 3D material. But I think if I hollowed it out this time, that might be more doable. So maybe that's someone that I could try and do again. And it doesn't have to be a male character; it can be female characters. There will be some that I'm not, going to do right off that. Like if someone says Merlin right off the bat, like that's. Eventually, sure. Like I will do it. It will be. I will walk into that. I'm currently like having conversations with gyms to be like, is there a time I can go in and people aren't there? I don't want to distract your classes. I don't want to create issues. So we'll figure that out. But I'm excited for it. I think it will be fun and it will be entertaining. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Cool.
Go ahead.
No, nothing.
The other thing is game streams. So this is already streaming on Twitch and YouTube. I'm looking for what people may want to watch. In my head, I think of when I think of anime games, there's obviously Honkai Star Rail. I think of Persona, but I don't know if Persona is exactly the most entertaining game to watch. Turn-based combat is not always super entertaining. It is for me to play. I don't know about to watch. So if there's something that people want to watch, I'm happy to listen to any suggestions. I know Star Rail is super popular, so I feel like Star Rail might be the go-to, and or Genshin Impact. I haven't started either one, so maybe those are options to go. But yeah, so if anyone can think of any ideas, or Steven, if you think of an idea that you think would be entertaining to stream, let me know, and I'll probably try to figure out a time block that I can do consistently.
Yeah.
Waifu of the week. So let's stick with the show that we're watching right now,
Okay.
and then we can expand. If you had to choose the waifu of the week from this show, who are you still putting there as that person?
As in, so
who's your waifu of the first 32 episodes?
Oh, it's definitely Hawkeye.
It's Hawkeye.
Yeah.
Yeah. See his lust for me.
Lust?
Yeah.
I know.
I know
the
psychopaths.
Oh, that wasn't what I was thinking.
You're like boobs.
Boobs.
Yeah, no, I find, again, she's that strong, determined character. She, is confident. Bless you.
Excuse me.
You got more coming?
I'm good.
Okay. Yeah, so less is there for me. But I do think coming up on episode 33, I think that's going to change.
I think so.
Yeah. So top intro, we'll stick with this show so far. For me, it's still the first one. I'd have to look up the name of it.
Definitely the first one, yeah.
Okay, so we're going off of that. We're going to start creating multiple playlists. So one being top intros from shows, and I'll create that on Spotify. I'll share the link probably either in the YouTube description for this or on the show next week. And then we're also going to start creating a workout playlist with anime theme songs. So going off of that, Steven, do you have a suggestion for a workout anime theme song?
No, I don't. Oh, that's oh my goodness. Not at the top of my head. I have to go through a whole bunch of anime and find something good.
Okay. Well, I'll add 2 then for this week because Steven's terrible.
My memory is trash.
So the first one I'm going to do is, let's see here. It's by Millennium Parade. It is the intro song to Hell's Paradise. It is called, I think it's called just Work. So WORK by Millennium Parade. Right? So that will be song number 1. And then the second one I will suggest is My Hero Academy. It's called You Say Run. So that would be my 2.
What season is that from?
I'm not sure. I'd have to look up the specific season because I feel like it's one of their theme songs. You'll recognize it the second you play it. You'll recognize it.
I probably will.
Yeah, so we'll put those 2 to start our playlist, and this will expand weekly, so it'll just become bigger and bigger and bigger. And probably by the time you have let's say 10, you're gonna have a full workout possible from it, right? And then as it gets bigger, you'll be able to shuffle it. So we'll just keep expanding that. So the last thing we need to discuss today is we still have half of this show to go, so we still have 3 more weeks of this. But after that, did you have some ideas, Steven? Because I know we slightly talked about it last week about what shows you're thinking about for our next show.
Oh man, I mean you haven't seen any of the big 3.
I know. And I hesitate to start those because there's so many episodes.
Yeah, but the thing is, those original big, besides excluding One Piece, right? Naruto and Bleach, they have so much fillers. Mm-hmm. So what I was referring to was really the manga. Other than that, I gotta go through my list and see what I've completed.
I mean, I have a suggestion.
Yes,
there's
please.
There's three suggestions I could make. Right, the first two are 1-season shows. Right, there's well so far, Akame ga Kill is straight up 1 season. It's 25 episodes.
I think I did see that one.
So there's Akame ga Kill. There's Hell's Paradise, which is I think only 12 episodes.
Okay.
And then the other one I would say is, because you haven't seen it, is Attack on Titan.
I gotta finish reading the manga.
But see, I think that's the purpose that I think is interesting here, because if you don't know the story, I'm curious how it will go, and then you can read the manga and see those things. Because I think it's interesting to come into this with one of us knowing the story and seeing how that manga or how the anime progresses through it, and then the other person not knowing it, right? Kind of trying to see what the presumptions are.
Yeah. The only reason why I push back is because a lot of people don't like this, but I personally love the art style in the manga. Mm-hmm. And I'm just worried that if I watch the anime, it won't live up to that art style. Mm-hmm. I remember early on when I was watching the first season of Attack on Titans, mm-hmm. It didn't give me that fear that the manga gave me. It was just dread, and it was just like, oh, horror, right? Mm-hmm. So that's why I push back on Attack on Titan until I finish it myself. But hey,
it's okay.
We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, it's your choice. I'm not going to force you into anything. I just think it's one of those classics that I think would be interesting to go into, because there is so much that gets uncovered throughout the show.
Yeah.
That it would be really interesting to see your feelings before knowing all those things. And I think there's not so many opportunities to know that, and it's in this kind of the sweet spot of episodes too, where it's like, I think it's only like 50 to 70 episodes total.
Yeah, it didn't seem very. What is it? Only 3 seasons?
It's 4.
4. Okay.
So episode count. Let's see here, because the first one's longer, but that's really it. Everything after that is shorter. So let's see here. If I go to the final season. Yeah, so we've got 60, 70. Okay, we're almost there at the end. Yes, so we've got 87, 88, 80, 89 episodes. Right? Oh. So the last season is longer. But I think the middle 2 seasons are only like 12 episodes each or something like that. It's interesting. But the first season is 25, and then it gets. But I it's more approachable than, let's say, Bleach or Naruto, which have hundreds.
Bleach is so good, though.
I've heard good things.
As in the art style, I love it.
Yeah, and then the other thing is we could go classics too. We could do like Rurouni Kenshin, or we could do Yu Yu Hakusho, or I mean, there's a lot of choices. But I would say by next week, we should have it figured out, because at that point we're only 2 weeks from the end, and we should start kind of pre-planning those things. So I will let you go with that one, but we'll figure that out hopefully for sure next week. But plant that seed in your mind, get it figured out. Other than that, is there anything else before we hop off?
No,